Everybody who wishes to can move in front of us. On this last day of retreat, we read old texts, the Zen teaching of Wang Po, I've read from for maybe 30 years. Amazingly enough, people haven't gotten tired of it, or else they don't tell me. And other teachers' sayings, dialogues, and some poetry, old and new. The texts of writings are excerpted. There is not, sometimes words are left out, sometimes paragraphs, sentences. This is not introduction of these teachers or to present them, but to pick what fits of what we have been talking about in fresh words. First selection, the teaching, Zen teaching of Wang Po, translated by John Blofeld, written down by his disciple, scholar, Pe Su, who actually was the governor of the province and built the monastery in which Wang Po taught. The master said to me, all the Buddhas and all sentient beings are nothing but the one mind, beside which nothing exists. This mind, which is without beginning, is unborn and indestructible. It is not green nor yellow and has neither form nor appearance. It does not belong to the categories of things which exist or do not exist, nor can it be thought of in terms of new or old. It is neither long nor short, big nor small, for it transcends all limits, measures, names, traces, and comparisons. It is that which you see before you. Begin to reason about it, and you at once fall into error. It is like the boundless void which cannot be fathomed or measured. This one mind alone is the Buddha, and there is no distinction between the Buddha and sentient beings, but that sentient beings are attached to forms and so seek externally for Buddhahood. By their very seeking they lose it, for that is using the Buddha to seek for the Buddha, using mind to grasp mind. Even though they do their utmost for a full eon, they will not be able to attain to it. People do not know that if they put a stop to conceptual thought and forget their anxiety, the Buddha will appear before them. For this mind is Buddha, and Buddha is all living beings. It is not the less for being manifested in ordinary beings, nor is it greater for being manifested in the Buddhas. Questioner. From all you have just said, mind is the Buddha. But it's not clear as to what sort of mind is meant by this mind, which is the Buddha. Wang Po, how many minds have you got? Questioner. But is the Buddha the ordinary mind or the enlightened mind? Wang Po, where on earth do you keep your ordinary mind and your enlightened mind? Questioner. In the teaching of the three vehicles, it is stated that there are both. Why does your reverence deny it? Wangpo. In the teaching of the three vehicles, it is clearly explained that the ordinary and the enlightened minds are both illusions. You don't understand. All this clinging to the idea of things existing is to mistake vacuity for the truth. How can such conceptions not be illusory? Being illusory, they hide mind from you. If you would only rid yourselves of the concepts of ordinary and enlightened, you would find that there is no other Buddha than the Buddha in your own mind. You people go on misunderstanding. You hold to concepts such as ordinary and enlightened, directing your thoughts outwards where they gallop about like horses. All this amounts to beclouding your own minds. As soon, I tell you, mind is Buddha. As soon as thought or sensation arises, you fall into dualism. Beginningless time and the present moment are the same. Beginningless time and the present moment are the same. There is no this and no that. To understand this truth is called complete unexcelled enlightenment. Questioner. Upon what doctrine or Dharma principle does your reverence base these words? Wangpo, why seek a doctrine? As soon as you have a doctrine, you fall into dualistic thought. Questioner. But just now you said beginningless past and present are the same. What do you mean by that? Wangpo, it is just because of your seeking that you make a difference between them. If you were to stop seeking, how could there be any difference between them? Questioner. If they are not different, why did you employ separate terms for them? Wangpo, if you hadn't mentioned ordinary and enlightened, who would have bothered to say such things? Just as those categories have no real existence, so mind is not really mind. And as both mind and those categories are really illusions, wherever can you hope to find anything? So, full understanding can come to you only through an inexpressible mystery. The approach to it is called the gateway of the stillness beyond all activity. If you wish to understand, know that a sudden comprehension comes when the mind is purged of all the clutter of conceptual and discriminatory thought activity. Those who seek the truth by means of intellect and learning only get further and further away from it. Not till your thoughts cease all their branching here and there, not till you abandon all thoughts of seeking for something, will you be on the right road. Though others may talk of the way of the Buddhas as something to be reached by various pious practices and by scripture study, you must have nothing to do with such ideas. A perception sudden as blinking, that subject and object are one, will lead to a deeply mysterious, wordless understanding. And by this understanding you awake to the truth. Your true nature is something never lost to you, even in moments of delusion, nor is it gained at the moment of enlightenment. It depends on nothing and is attached to nothing. It is all-pervading, spotless beauty. It is the self-existent and uncreated absolute. Absolute literally meaning dependent on nothing. It is a jewel beyond all price. when a sudden flash of thought occurs in your mind, and you see it for a dream or an illusion, then you can enter into the state reached by the Buddhas of the past. Not that the Buddhas of the past really exist, or that the Buddhas of the future have not yet come into existence. Above all, have no longing to become a future Buddha. Your sole concern should be, as thought succeeds thought, to avoid clinging to any of them. Select excerpts from Krishnamurti's talks and writings collected by the Foundation of India. This is the earliest I could find. It's from the Star Bulletin 1932. Star was a publication created for Krishnamurti by the Theosophists to express his teachings. The individual problem is the world problem. If the individual has found happiness, has created order within himself, then he will create order in the world around him. And in helping others to solve their own individual problems, he will help to solve the world problem. You think that in seeking the liberation of the self, there is the suggestion of egotism. You think that to be eternally happy is a selfish realization. You think that to be free from sorrow and strife is a desertion of the world. This is a misconception. Liberation is the very antithesis of the sense of the ego, of I-ness. It is the ultimate realization for all people. And 8 years later in Ojai, California, I personally feel that the world is myself, that what I do creates either peace or sorrow in the world that is myself. And as long as I do not understand myself, I cannot bring peace to the world. So my immediate concern is myself, not selfishly, not merely to alter myself in order to gain greater happiness, greater sensations, greater successes. For as long as I do not understand myself, I must live in pain and sorrow and cannot discover an enduring peace and happiness. In 1955 in Bombay, what is the self-knowledge of which you speak, and how can I acquire it? Krishnamurti, it is very simple. The first step is the last step in self-knowledge. The beginning is the end. The first step is what matters, because self-knowledge is not something you can learn from another. No one can teach you self-knowledge. You have to find out for yourself. It must be your own discovery, and that discovery is not something tremendous, fantastic. It is very simple. After all, to know yourself is to watch your behavior, your words, what you do in your everyday relationships. That is all. Begin with that, and you will see how extraordinarily difficult it is to be aware. Just to watch the manner of your behavior, the words you use to your servant, to your boss, the attitude you have with regard to people, the ideas, and to things. Just watch your thoughts, watch your motives in the mirror of relationship. And you will see that the moment you watch, you want to correct it. You say, this is good and that is bad. I must do this and not that. When you see yourself in the mirror of relationship, your approach is one of condemnation or justification. Therefore, you distort what you see. Whereas if you simply observe in that mirror your attitude with regard to people, to ideas and to things, if you see the fact without judgment, without condemnation or acceptance, then you will find that that very perception has its own action. That is the beginning of self-knowledge. This is from a selection of passages for the study of the teachings of Krishnamurti, issued by the KFA in Ojai. This is from a public talk in London, 1962. Questioner: I find it impossible to be aware all the time. Krishnamurti: don't be aware all the time. Just be aware in little bits. Please, there is no being aware all the time. That's a dreadful idea. It's a nightmare. This terrible desire for continuity. Just be aware for 1 minute, for 1 second, and in that 1 second of awareness you can see the whole universe. That's not a poetic phrase. We see things in a flash, in a single moment. But having seen something, we want to capture, to hold it, to give it continuity. That's not being aware at all. When you say, I must be aware all the time, you have made a problem of it. And then you should really find out why you want to be aware all the time. See the greed it implies, the desire to acquire. And to say, well, I'm aware all the time means nothing. The same series called The Meditative Mind. This is from The Flame of Attention. It is immensely important to know and to understand the depth and beauty of meditation. Man has always been asking from timeless time whether there is something beyond all thought, beyond all romantic inventions, beyond all time. He has always been asking, is there something beyond all this suffering, beyond all this chaos, beyond wars, beyond the battle between human beings? Is there something that is immovable, sacred, utterly pure, untouched by any thought, by any experience? This has been the inquiry of serious people from the ancient of days. To find that out, to come upon it, meditation is necessary. Not the repetitive meditation that is utterly meaningless. There is a creative energy which is truly religious when the mind is free from all conflict, from all the travail of thought. To come upon that which has no beginning, no end, that is the real depth of meditation and the beauty of it. a chapter from I Am That by Nisargadatta, translated by Maurice Friedman. Nisargadatta, pretty much contemporary of Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti traveled all over and lived very beautifully. Beautiful dwellings everywhere. Nisargadatta didn't travel anywhere and had sort of a loft above his home. He said because Maurice Friedman collected the stuff and translated it and the book came out, people, even in India, discovered him. That's what he said once. This chapter is called Obsession with the Body. Questioner. Maharaj, you are sitting in front of me, and I am here at your feet. What is the basic difference between us? Nisargadatta, there is no basic difference. Questioner. Still, there must be some real difference. I come to you, you do not come to me. Nisargadatta. Because you imagine differences, you go here and there in search of superior people. Questioner. You too are a superior person. You claim to know the real while I do not. Nisargadatta. Did I ever tell you that you do not know and therefore you are inferior? Let those who invented such distinctions prove them. I do not claim to know what you do not. In fact, I know much less than you do. Questioner. Your words are wise, your behavior noble, your grace all-powerful. Nisargadatta. I know nothing about it all and see no difference between you and me. My life is a succession of events just like yours. Only I am detached and see the passing show as a passing show, while you stick to things and move along with them. Questioner. What made you so dispassionate? Nisargadatta. Nothing in particular. It so happened that I trusted my guru. He told me I am nothing but myself, and I believed him. In Hindu tradition, self, which in translation is then a capital S, refers to what Wangpo refers to as the mind, which is also capitalized with an M. One mind, wholeness, Buddha nature. Incidentally, this guru whom Nisargadatta trusted died very soon after Nisargadatta visited him. It so happened that I trusted my guru. He told me I am nothing but myself, and I believed him. Trusting him, I behaved accordingly and ceased caring for what was not me nor mine. Questioner. Why were you so lucky to trust your teacher fully, while our trust is nominal and verbal? Nisargadatta, who can say? It happened so. Things happen without cause and reason, and after all, what does it matter who is who? Your high opinion of me is your opinion only. Any moment you may change it. Why attach importance to opinions, even your own? Questioner. Still, you are different. Your mind seems to be always quiet and happy, and miracles happen around you. Nisargadatta, I know nothing about miracles, and I wonder whether nature admits exceptions to her laws. Unless we agree that everything is a miracle. As to my mind, there is no such thing. There is consciousness in which everything happens. It's quite obvious and within the experience of everybody. You just do not look carefully enough. Look well and see what I see. Questioner, what do you see? Nisargadatta, I see what you too could see here and now, but for the wrong focus of your attention. You give no attention to yourself. Your mind is all with things and people and ideas, never with yourself. Bring yourself into focus. Become aware of your own existence. See how you function. Watch the motives and the results of your actions. Study the prison you have built around yourself by inadvertence. By knowing what you are not, you come to know yourself. One thing is certain, the real is not imaginary, it is not a product of the mind. Once you are convinced that nothing that can be pointed at can be yourself, the need for the I am is over. You are no longer intent on verbalizing what you are. All you need is to get rid of the tendency to define yourself. All definitions apply to your body only and to its expressions. Once this obsession with the body goes, you will revert to your natural state, spontaneously and effortlessly. The only difference between us is that I am aware of my natural state while you are bemused. We differ only in appearance. We discover this by being earnest, searching, inquiring, questioning daily and hourly, by giving one's life to this discovery. Vimalataka, being and becoming, she used to travel all over the world giving talks and retreats. Now she stays put in India, and people come to see her. This book gives some of the dialogues which took place at Dalhousie in India during the summer of 1989. We are talking about an alternative way of living, which is a meditative way of living. Question come up very often in retreat. Can the two be brought together? By daily living and meditation. She says, we are talking about an alternative way of living, which is a meditative way of living. Acquire knowledge, let it flow through you, let it be utilized in its relevant field without thought creating the knower. If we look at the roots of all human misery, we will find that misery is built upon our stupefaction. We do not know how to relate to the social structures and use them without identification, without creating a sense of authority out of them. Structures are not sacred. It is only life that is sacred. Patterns have no sacredness, whether you create them in the name of religion, spirituality, or politics. It is the pattern-free, structure-free, virgin dynamism of life that is sacred, that is divine. Wherever you have touched it with thought, you have manipulated it. You have structured it. It has a utility, but not sanctity. It has a utility, but not authority. Knowledge itself has no power to bind you. It is the creation of the knower that is the obstacle. Me that knows, that is in the know. You have a beautiful, sensitive body, and the sensitivity gets into touch with its respective objects outside, and they bring sensations. Sensations are converted back to electric impulses, and the brain interprets them. It's a marvelous process of what you call experiencing. Contact with the outside world through the senses, which are very delicate, very tender. It is quite hard and arduous work to keep your sensual system pure, healthy, supple, and elastic. Let the experiences flow through the sensual system. Nothing wrong in a sensual, sexual experience, but thought creates an experiencer, and you get stuck in the experience of its likes and dislikes, its preferences, and so forth. If the sensual contact with objects is allowed to flow through you without creating an experiencer, then the limited man-made world cannot corrupt you. You acquire knowledge, and you appear as an individual playing the role of a father, a brother, mother, child. You are one appearing as many. There's no identification with the fatherness, the sonness, the daughterness, the sisterness. And you don't tie so many knots inside, but play the roles sanely, completely, with the magnificence of an inner equipoise. You see what a marvelous responsibility we as human beings have? When there is no knower and no experiencer, which is the creation of the me sense, there would not be any dogmatism. You don't become dogmatic, insistent, assertive, aggressive. Identification is the source of aggression. Verbal aggression is the beginning of physical violence. The word meditation has been identified with psychophysical exercises, with concentrations, with methods, techniques, kundalini, shakti paths. The word has been abused and misused in a callous way. No authority and no effort. Freedom from authority and the freedom from the struggle of efforts. Once you know that these man-made enclosures are only to be lived in, then the sense of comparing yourself with others, like he has a palace and I have a hut, he has millions and I only have thousands, these are rupees, hundreds probably here, or whatever, sometimes $10 a year. The sense of comparison and the ambition for competition disappears completely, she says. Your economic life becomes simple. No vanity, no pride about your scholarship, erudition, etc. And your social life becomes simple. You do not move around with a begging bowl for sympathy, for acceptance, for prestige, for acknowledgement. Meditation has no repetition at all. It is moment to moment. In the moment of relating, you are living. In the moment of aloneness, you're dying. It is living and dying, like inhaling and exhaling. To be alone is to die to the sense of being somebody or being something. Is not that the content of death and dying? To be alone is to die to the sense of being somebody, a sinner, saint, holy, knowledgeable, respected, rich. To be alone is to die to being something according to the definition of society, according to the value structure of religions. Physically isolating yourself may not lead you to the aloneness. It may not. That is what we're afraid of, dying to the sense of being somebody, dying to all the images that you have built up about yourself is being alone. The way we are tackling the theme may be unusual, unheard of to many. It is a non-conventional way, a non-traditional approach. But I'm really grateful that life brings you and me together. These are some poems from The Enlightened Heart, an anthology of sacred poetry edited by Stephen Mitchell. One by Le Men Peng, a Chinese, lived 740 to 808. He was originally a very rich man, and he threw all of his money into the river. He didn't even want to give it away to make somebody else unhappy. My daily affairs are quite ordinary, but I'm in total harmony with them. I don't hold on to anything, don't reject anything. Nowhere an obstacle nor conflict. Who cares about wealth and honor? Even the poorest thing shines. My miraculous power and spiritual activity, drawing water and carrying wood. Miraculous power, spiritual activity. Rumi. (1207, 1273). Middle Eastern and Afghan, acquainted with the desert. I have lived on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on a door. It opens. I've been knocking from the inside. Out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Outside the freezing desert night. This other night inside grows warm, kindling. Let the landscape be covered with thorny crust. We have a soft garden in here. The continents blasted, cities and little towns, everything become a scorched, blackened ball. The news we hear is full of grief for that future. But the real news inside here is there's no news at all. Ryokan, the Japanese hermit monk, lived in the mountains in a hut, loved it and also was desperately lonely at times. Made no bones about it. 1758 to 1831. First days of spring, the sky is bright blue, the sun huge and warm. Everything is turning green. Carrying my monk's bowl, I walk to the village to beg for my daily meal. The children spot me at the temple gate and happily crowd around, dragging at my arms till I stop. I put my bowl on a white rock, hang my bag on a branch. First we braid grasses and play tug of war. Then we take turns singing and keeping a kickball in the air. I kick the ball and they sing. They kick and I sing. Time is forgotten, the hours fly. People passing by point at me and laugh, "Why are you acting like such a fool?" I nod my head and don't answer. I could say something, but why? Do you want to know what's in my heart? From the beginning of time, just this, just this. In all 10 directions of the universe, there's only one truth. When we see clearly, the great teachings are the same. What can ever be lost? What can be attained? If we attain something, it was there from the beginning of time. If we lose something, it is hiding some way near us. Look, this ball in my pocket. Can you see how priceless it is? Too lazy to be ambitious, I let the world take care of itself. 10 days' worth of rice in my bag, a bundle of twigs by the fireplace, white chatter about delusion and enlightenment. Listening to the night rain on my roof, I sit comfortably, with both legs stretched out. More of Ryokan's poetry by One Robe, One Bowl by John Stevens, translated. Once again, the children and I are fighting a battle using spring grasses, now advancing, now retreating, each time with more refinement. Twilight. Everyone has returned home. The bright, round moon helps me endure the loneliness. Listening to the evening rain in my hermitage. No, listening to the evening rain in my hermitage. The great way? I braid spring flowers into a ball. The future? If a visitor brings these questions, I have only the tranquility of the hermitage to offer. Late at night, the faint sound of someone pounding rice. Dew drips from the bamboo onto the firewood pile, and the plants along the garden are also moist. Frogs croak in the distance, but then seem very close. Fireflies light up low, then high. Wide awake, sleep is far off. Smoothing out the pillow, I let my thoughts drift. An evening dream. Everything must have been an illusion. I cannot explain clearly even one part of what I saw. Yet in the dream, it seemed as if the truth were right in front of my eyes. This morning, awake, is it not the same dream? The rainy season is over. It is now clear. I go out. Green fields and cool breezes everywhere. Unable to sleep, I hear the voice of a young deer rising from a mountain ridge. The branches that will be used for this autumn's firewood are still blooming. Please gather some summer grasses wet with dew and come visit me. Not much to offer you, just a lotus flower floating in a small jar of water. The bamboo grove in front of my hut. Every day I see it 1,000 times, yet never tire of it. The willows are in full bloom. I want to pile up the blossoms like mountain snow. My hermitage lies in a forest. All around me, everything is thick and green. A thief has stolen my mat and cushion. Why did he break into my hermitage? The door is never locked. The night is ending and I sit alone by the window. A sparse rain falls gently against the bamboo grove. Lying on my grass pillow, dreaming about this dream world again. Lonely, fitful sleep. As I watch the children happily playing, without realizing it, my eyes fill with tears. Thinking about the people in this floating world far into the night, my sleeve is wet with tears. The thief left it behind. The moon at the window. Mary Oliver, contemporary American poet. This is White Pine. Poem is called Work. How beautiful this morning was Pasture Pond. It had lain in the dark all night, catching the rain on its broad back. All day I work with the linen of words and the pins of punctuation. All day I hang out over a desk, grinding my teeth, staring. Then I sleep. Then I come out of the house, even before the sun is up, and walk back through the pine woods to Pasture Pond. Some poems from House of Light, and then the last one will be from New and Selected Poems. The Notebook. 6 a.m. The small pond turtle lifts its head into the air like a green toe. It looks around. What it sees is the whole world swirling back from darkness. A red sun rising over the water, over the pines, and the wind lifting, and the water striders heading out, and the white lilies opening their happy bodies. The turtle doesn't have a word for any of it. The silky water, or the enormous blue morning, or the curious affair of its own body. On the shore, I am so busy scribbling and crossing out, almost miss seeing him paddle away through the wet, black forest. More and more the moments come to me. How much can the right word do? Now a few of the lilies are a faint flamingo inside their white hearts. And there's still time to let the last roses of the sunrise float down into my uplifted eyes. The kingfisher. That's a bird. Not everybody knows birds' names. Kingfisher. The kingfisher rises out of the black wave like a blue flower. In his beak he carries a silver leaf. I think this is the prettiest world. So long as you don't mind a little dying, how could there be a day in your whole life that doesn't have its splash of happiness? There are more fish than there are leaves on 1,000 trees. And anyway, the kingfisher wasn't born to think about it or anything else. When the wave snaps shut over his blue head, the water remains water. Hunger is the only story he has ever heard in his life that you could believe. I don't say he is right, neither do I say he is wrong. Religiously, he swallows the silver leaf with its broken red river, and with a rough and easy cry I couldn't rouse out of my thoughtful body if my life depended on it, he swings back over the bright sea to do the same thing, to do it as I long to do something, anything, perfectly. Singapore. In Singapore, in the airport, a darkness was ripped from my eyes. In the women's restroom, one compartment stood open. A woman knelt there washing something in the white bowl. Disgust argued in my stomach, and I felt in my pocket for my ticket. A poem should always have birds in it. Kingfishers, say, with their bold eyes and gaudy wings. Rivers are pleasant, and of course, trees. A waterfall, or if that's not possible, a fountain rising and falling. A person wants to stand in a happy place in a poem. When the woman turned, I could not answer her face. Her beauty and her embarrassment struggled together, and neither could win. She smiled, and I smiled. What kind of nonsense is this? Everybody needs a job. Yes, a person wants to stand in a happy place in a poem. But first we must watch her as she stares down at her labor, which is dull enough. She is washing the tops of the airport ashtrays as big as hubcaps with a blue rag. Her small hands turn the metal, scrubbing and rinsing. She does not work slowly nor quickly, but like a river. Her dark hair is like the wing of a bird. I don't doubt for a moment that she loves her life. And I want her to rise up from the crust and the slop and fly down to the river. This probably won't happen. But maybe it will. If the world were only pain and logic, who would want it? Of course it isn't. Neither do I mean anything miraculous, but only the light that can shine out of a life. I mean, the way she unfolded and refolded the blue cloth, in the way her smile was only for my sake. I mean, the way this poem is filled with trees and birds. The sun. Have you ever seen anything in your life more wonderful than the way the sun every evening, relaxed and easy, floats toward the horizon and into the clouds or the hills or the rumpled sea and is gone? And how it slides again out of the blackness every morning on the other side of the world, like a red flower streaming upward on its heavenly oils, say, on a morning in early summer at its perfect imperial distance. And have you ever felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there is anywhere in any language a word billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you as the sun reaches out, as it warms you as you stand there empty-handed? Or have you too turned from this world? Or have you too gone crazy for power, for things? we will end here for today.